I see some big problems with this build. You came very close. Hi, welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. We've got some crazy builds in this month's Boost My Build, the series where we take your PC part picker list, we tear them up and we put them back together and we massively increase your performance. We've got builds for streaming that don't stream quite as well as they should. We've got $900 gaming and streaming PCs. Is that even possible in this market? We'll check it out. If you get value out of the video, give it a like. It makes a huge difference, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe and click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. With that, let's jump into it. Before that, this video is sponsored by VIP SCD Key. Say goodbye to crazy expensive Windows 10 licenses and that terrible Activate Windows 10 watermark. Right now, use the links in the video description, head over to VIP SCD Key, and get a Windows 10 Home or Pro OEM license for a great price. Pick your product license, then use the PC Builder discount code PC25 for an additional 25% off. Go to the activation settings on your PC, put in the code, and boom, you have a fully licensed Windows 10 for a crazy low price, which can be upgraded for free to Windows 11. Use the links in the video description below. We've got Faith. Faith says, hey Jason, they want to build their first PC for gaming, for streaming, for video editing on a budget of $800 to $900. Oh my goodness. Now listen, in past months, or even the past 2 years, I would have told you you're out of your freaking mind. There's no way you can do that. But with GPU prices crashing down well below their MSRPs right now, we can definitely do that. Looking for great performance in 1080p, they want some RGB, but really, they just want to be able to stream smoothly with this PC, even at that budget. Let's take a look at what you got. All right, you got $912.83. You're a little bit over your budget. That's okay, but I see some big problems with this build. You came very close, but it's like Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner. Just before he gets the Roadrunner, he falls through a trap door and kaboom. Let's take a look at your trap doors for this one and let's see if we can get them fixed. So starting off with the CPU i5 12400, don't mind this at all. However, right now selling for $195, kind of expensive. It had been cheaper, and the 12400F is significantly cheaper. It's about $160, about $35 difference. The only difference is the 12400 has the integrated GPU. Yes, that does help when you do video export, it does reduce your encoding time, but at this budget level, $30 is a lot of money to spend on something like that that's not really going to save us that much overall time or add that much performance. But here's the big problem. We're going with the Gigabyte H610M. This is a trash tier motherboard that I would only consider for the i3 12100. We have a whole video on the i3 12100. Check it out for that. We did a whole build on it. We talked about these motherboards. I would not consider these for the i5 12400, which we also have a video on. And I talked about stay away from these motherboards. There's only a handful of even budget tier B660 motherboards that will run the i5 12400 at its full frequency. A lot of them won't run it properly and you lose performance. That's why Intel would have a huge winner on its hand, and I feel like Ryzen 5600 prices would come down and AMD would be forced to drop their prices if only Intel could get a hold of this whole motherboard thing. B660 motherboards are super expensive for the feature set you get, so I understand why you went with an H610 here, but it's just not a good decision. And it's an especially bad decision when we're spending $54 on a Wi-Fi 6. Now this is a great high-speed Wi-Fi 6 adapter, and it's a PCIe add-in card, so that's great. All this would work fine, but you know, we can get Wi-Fi on the motherboard for not that much more, and we could have gotten a better class of motherboard had we added these two things together. You went with DDR4 3200 CL16 memory. It's a white kit. I can see that there's a white theme going on in this build that I don't mind whatsoever, but we only got 16 gigabytes. I kind of want to get to 32 if we can in this build. CPU cooler, Vetru V5, I don't have a problem with this. $35 is a little expensive. There are some new coolers on the market. They're all white, ARGB. They're significantly cheaper that we should check out. 1 terabyte, great, you know, budget tier, NVMe. We could consider going up a class in terms of our NVMe SSD here, given that we're also going to do some video editing, we want to do streaming and other things. However, at our budget level, I think this might be the appropriate drive. And I'm not bagging on the RX 6600, great value GPU right now. I just feel like for $900, not coming away with at least a 6600 XT feels a little tough on us right now. This is a good GPU, and AMD's encoder has come a long way. way compared to the NVENC encoder on NVIDIA's GPUs, and it really has closed the gap quite a bit. However, if we want to both game and stream, I'd like to see a little bit more power here. I hate the NZXT H510 case. There's no airflow in this stupid thing, and one of the problems is, especially if your CPU starts getting hot and your components start getting hot in here, if you're streaming, you're going to pick up noise from the fan in there as well. Now, you got the Vetru V5, that's a great cooler, but let's get a case with some airflow. This only comes with 2 included fans, by the way. Yeah, $70, not bad in this case market right now where everything's super inflated because of the cost of shipping these things from overseas. But at the same time, I think we could do a lot better, and we've forgotten to get fans for this thing to make sure we can get at least a little bit of airflow out of this completely solid panel thing. Power supply so far, okay, but for $912, again, we're $12 over our budget. I don't mind that so much as I feel like we've lost a lot of performance here, and we've just fallen through a couple of trap doors. Okay, I called this $900 gaming and streaming because we're gonna get you gaming and streaming for $900. Let's see how we did this. Now, I'm $905-ish. I came in $5 over. And I did make some pretty significant changes just based on current costs of components. Let's start off with what they are. First of all, you'll notice I changed out the i5-12400 for the Ryzen 5600. And you say, Jason, why'd you do that? The Ryzen 5600, that's $180 when you can get the i5-12400F for $163. That's like $15 or $16 you just threw out the window right there. No, it's not. And they're about the same performance. We're going to get a significantly cheaper Wi-Fi motherboard for $110. This is the MSI B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi. This is a good motherboard though. Overall, same feature set as we'd look at for the B660 motherboards that are like $140 or $150. We come out 20 or 30 bucks ahead by going Ryzen in this circumstance, as long as we want to stick with this class of motherboard. So that's why I made this change. Of course, if you still wanted to go with the i5-12400F, I would get the MSI Pro B660M-A. That's with the Wi-Fi. I think that board's currently selling for just about $150 right now. For the cooler, just to save a little bit of money, I went with one of these brand new coolers, the id Cooling SE214XT. It's all white, it's ARGB, and it's $22. And this thing is really, really good. Comes with both the LGA 1700 if you do still want to go for the 12400F, or it comes with the AM4 mounting brackets. Either way, it's a fantastic cooler for $22. For the memory, I went up to 32 gigabytes here. Now, you could argue you don't necessarily need to do it, but right now, DDR4 3200 CL16 memory, especially 2x16 gigabyte kits, are kind of on sale. They're on fire sale. This is $78 for 32 gigabytes of memory, which is a phenomenal deal. And for what you want to do, for the amount of, you really emphasize streaming in there, that you emphasize the video editing, I just think this is going to give us some more longevity in terms of our overall system. So we went with the MSI Radeon RX 6600 XT for not that much more money, $320 right now at Newegg. That's with the $20 mail-in rebate, but I would definitely do it for the 20 bucks. This is a great GPU that's going to give you top tier performance, and it's going to give us a little extra oomph in there, especially when we're streaming and gaming at the same time. I feel really, really good about this. The VCE encoder, that's AMD's video encoder, not quite as good as the NVENC encoder. If we could do a 3060, we probably would, but at this price, there's no way. We can't get there. It would be another $60 or $70 to get there. So this is going to do just fine for us. The VCE encoder is not that far behind NVENC, and honestly, the 6600 XT absolutely destroys the RTX 3050 or RTX 2060, the other two cards you could consider at this price range. This will get you like 30 to 50%, depending on the game, more performance than those. So this is an automatic buy. For the case, I went with the Big Phoenix Nova Mesh SE. It's basically an ARGB fan. Now, I believe these fans, these might be Molex in there. Look, the build quality is not as good as the NZXT case, but it comes with 4 included fans. They're ARGB. It's all white. The case looks very, very nice. I strongly recommend we look at doing something like this and not spend more than 60, 70 bucks because we still needed more fans for the NZXT case. And this is going to give us the airflow that we need. It's going to keep everything nice, cool, and quiet, especially while we're streaming. I did go ahead and swap out the PSU that you had for the Asus TUF Gaming B550. This is a B tier rated PSU, and it's also a little bit cheaper. It's been on super sale at Amazon for like the last 2 months. for 550 watts. Great unit. I love the cables. They're sleeved. They're all black. They're going to look really, really nice in that build. So for 10 bucks less than you were going to spend, we got you an equivalent CPU in the Ryzen 5 5600. We got you a great looking cooler and the Wi-Fi motherboard that you really want with the same feature set, actually slightly better. We went up 16 gigabytes of memory to 32 gigabytes of memory to cover anything that you're going to need in terms of video editing or streaming now or into the future. And we jumped up from the RX 6600 to the 6600 XT for the same price, and we got you ARGB white case instead of that just kind of regular old drab NZXT no airflow case. So for $904, I hope you feel like your build is boosted. We've got Crack. Crack says they're at their wits' end trying to budget their first ever PC build. They've been using a laptop for 6 years. Time to go. They want to stream and edit videos like Monster Hunter, League of Legends, 1440p, 160 hertz. Wow, okay, we're looking for a powerful system here. They're Canadian. Their budget is $2,500 Canadian. They're not sure what they're doing, so could we take a look? Well, first thing I would say, Crack, is you're not going to stream at 160 hertz, right? You're probably going to stream more like at 60 FPS, not 160. That'd be pretty crazy. But let's see what you've got. Okay, you came out 2,387 Canadian dollars, remember? Just under your budget. So we got a little bit of room to work with. But I got to tell you, I'm looking at your build. I'm not loving this build. And there's some things that really do bother me about it. Let's jump into it. First of all, don't necessarily mind the Ryzen 7 5800X. However, you don't really get any additional benefit over using the 5700X, so I would think about doing that. Could even come down to a 5600X here if we thought it would improve our GPU performance, but I know we want to stream. We probably want to do, all that video editing stuff. I really do like 8 cores here. I just don't like the 5800X per se. And then this cooler, I gotta tell you, I hate this cooler. This is a low profile cooler for like an ITX or small form factor build. This is not something I want to put on my 5800X. The other thing I hate about it is the knock to a brown and beige fan. And then we've got the whole rest of the build. Looks like we've got mostly an all white theme. Then we're gonna stick this ugly brown and beige thing right there on the top of the CPU for everybody to see on your stream. Just don't quite understand the aesthetics of where we're going with that. I like the motherboard, Gigabyte B550 Aorus Elite AX V2. Obviously, you're getting the V2 because the case that you're going to use, which we'll get into in a second, has the front panel USB Type-C. This has the header for it. I do like the Aorus boards. They have a little bit more rear panel connectivity than like the Tomahawk, for instance, that I did see is a little cheaper than this board. And this also has Wi-Fi. 32 gigabytes DDR4 3200 CL16 memory. I absolutely like it. Nice white RGB kit. And I don't mind the Samsung 970 EVO Plus here, especially since we got 2 terabytes of storage. We're gonna definitely need that storage. 970 EVO Plus has come down in price, not a bad price, especially when we know that we're gonna be doing a lot of, kind of heavy file moving, so I don't mind spending a little bit more on the SSD. But jumping into the GPU, I think we made a big mistake here. We're gonna spend 900 Canadian dollars on a RTX 3070 Ti, and it's not that I don't like this particular model. I actually quite like the Gigabyte all-white Vision D. I wish more companies made all-white for this kind of build aesthetic. I think that's great. The problem I have is the 3070 Ti, not much of an uplift over the 3070, and it's quite a bit more expensive, and we're almost at the kind of lower range of RTX 3080 12 gigabyte cards, which would be substantially more performance. I think it's about 18% more than 3070 Ti. We're like knocking on the door, but we didn't quite make it there. Corsair IQ case, yeah, it's expensive, but again, if this is going to be your streaming rig, if you're going to show this off in your streams, I don't mind spending some money on aesthetics if that's important to us. This is a great case, and obviously going this direction as opposed to buying the airflow version and then populating it with IQ fans, which is way more expensive as we've gone over in other Boost My Builds, it's a pretty good strategy. I feel like we're getting a little reamed here on the PSU pricing. I know that a lot of people want to get a white PSU because they want the white cables. Remember, we can get cable extensions, so this might be a bad investment of our money. Overall, $2,387. I feel like we got really, really close. So congrats on getting close, but I feel like we got to take this thing over the finish line, and we've left a lot of performance on the table and even some cool aesthetics. All right, I called this the $2,500 Canadian 1440p gaming and streaming in style. Why? Because we're going to get you way more performance and it's going to look much better on your stream. Let's check out this build. we went $2,473. That's right, we came in under your budget still of $2,500 Canadian. Let's start off with the CPU. We went with the Ryzen 7 5700X. Why? It didn't save us a ton of money, but it saved us some money over the 5800X, and we're never gonna see that very, very tiny sliver of performance anywhere doing what we're doing, which is gaming and video editing. The 5700X is gonna give you almost all that performance for a little cheaper, so why not take that cash back? For the cooler, we got rid of that awful Noctua brown and beige, terrible, ugly thing that you were gonna stick in the middle of your beautiful build and show off to everybody how terrible it looked, and we're instead changing this out for the Cooler Master Master Liquid ML240 Illusion. Now the pump head on this is one we used in our 5600X build, and I absolutely love it. It's actually sitting right next to me. I gotta tell you, I stare at this thing all the time. The pump head effects on this are super, super cool. Now listen, it's a little pricier than some of the other all-in-one liquid coolers, and I made sure to get you a white one, which in Canada seems a little tougher for some reason. There's a lot of different coolers available, there's just not all white ones. But the halo fans on these fans are really great. And honestly, yes, we're spending more money here, but this is something you'll be able to show off on your stream, in your background. It'll look super cool, really enhance the overall value. For the motherboard, we stuck with your motherboard. I tried to shop around a little bit. I almost swapped in the Tomahawk in here, but the thing that wins me over for this particular board, it is just the amount of rear panel USB connectivity. You know, people don't realize when you're gonna stream, you're gonna need to connect all these different devices to your PC. So it really makes that rear panel IO connectivity super important. Now, you are going to have some additional front panel connectivity too, but the problem with that is that people can see that in the stream when you plug that into the front of the case. So you want as much of that stuff, if you can, plugged into the back. I tried to find some cheaper memory, but I really do like the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro, $164. Maybe it's about 10, 15 bucks more, some other kits. I just think this one looks really nice. All white's going to go great with your aesthetic. We stuck it out with your drive. I still like the Evo Plus, 2 terabytes is great. Here's the major thing that we swapped out, which is the RTX 3080 12 gigabyte in place of that 3070 Ti. You were gonna get about 12% more performance. Now, I just went ahead and grabbed the cheapest 3080 12 gigabyte out there. It's not the all white version. In fact, I couldn't find the all white version or a white version of this anywhere in the Canadian market. I don't think it's gonna be that big a deal. Once you got the RGB and everything, you're gonna go for more of a black and white build with the case and the cooler and everything. This thing's gonna look amazing, and this is gonna give you the level of performance that you need to hit those higher frame rates at 1440p. And the best part of that GPU is it only costs $50 more than the GPU we were gonna buy. We stuck it out with your case. I like the Corsair iQ. Didn't really feel like shopping around too much more. That's a really nice looking case. But I did go ahead and swap out your PSU for the Asus ROG Strix. This is an 850 watt. It's a A-tier rated PSU. Now, there's nothing wrong with the unit that you had as well. This also comes with all white cables, very similar to your unit. I did price out getting maybe a cheaper A-tier rated unit that would go ahead and get white cable extensions for, but it came out to be about the same price. So I figured let's just stick with the cables that come with this, which look really, really nice, by the way. And it's a fantastic unit. We saved ourselves about 20 or 30 Canadian dollars here. Of course, rounding it out, we went ahead and went with a Cooler Master Master Fan Halo. This is for the rear exhaust. We just want to go ahead and match the fans on our AIO because those are the 3 fans that are going to be right together. It doesn't really matter whether or not we match the fans on the front. You're not going to be able to tell. You're not going to be able to see both sides at the same time. So I would go in this direction. So for $2,473, that's right, still under your $2,500 Canadian dollar budget, we got you a slick looking PC that's going to perform, the CPU is going to perform as well as what you had before. You're going to have an amazing look and visual aesthetic to it with the all white RGB build, and we've got you an RTX 3080 12 gigabyte, getting you about 17 to 18% more performance at 1440p than the 3070 Ti that you had in there. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. I don't feel like it today. You want to sit down? Kitty treats. Thank you for joining us on this month's Boost My Build. Remember, if you got value out of this video, give it a like. It makes a huge difference, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe and click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. If you want to check out the best CPU and GPU combo for gaming right now, check out this video. We go through everything that you need to know, every budget level, to get you the best gaming PC possible in 2022. And we'll catch you on the next one.